Our property is 50 acres and I mow 10 of those acres. And these are just my tips and tricks for maintaining a large property. And I'm going to start by walking you through the equipment I use. I am a strong believer in the idea that you need to have some good equipment if you're going to be mowing a large property. And as you can see here, I've got a riding mower. This is a Husqvarna riding mower. I went for the high horsepower and wide deck. I also have a brush hog attached to my Ford 1967 tractor. And then a few other pieces of equipment. I have a weed whacker. That is my Husqvarna safety helmet. And I've got a few hand tools as well, and I'll talk about that later in the video. I always use a scythe for a certain land clearing and bush cutting. I got a pair of loppers there for really fine detail work around the house. And I do have a big machete that I sometimes use back in the woods if I'm clearing ground. And a small saw is just essential equipment I find for clearing low tree branches and getting room for your mowing. Alright, first tip, have the right tool for the job. And by that I simply mean if you're cutting really high brush, don't go out there with your riding mower, use your brush hog. If you're trying to trim around something really carefully, don't use your mower, use your trimmer. So use those tools appropriately. You'll do just a much better job and have less likelihood of banging into things or having to go back and forth over and over again. Bring the brush hog to a brush hog job. Bring the mower to a mowing job. Smooth ground is just essential for mowing. And in a big property, you don't have the luxury of having perfectly smooth ground like you would in a front lawn situation in the suburbs. But if you have holes, throw some dirt in them. If you have roots, cover them over or chop them out. If you've got stumps, you've got to cut those out. So use some fill dirt, keep some handy, and fill in those holes. If you have rocks sticking out of your ground, they are going to bang up your blades and hit your mower. Pull your rocks and fill the holes. Before you mow, you should always pick up all sticks underneath trees. If you have a job site nearby, pick up those nails and wood scraps. Make sure it's clean. The worst thing you can do is if you've got trash out in your property is mow it over. All you do is multiply the trash. Low limbs are something that just always get in the way if you're mowing. Around your trees, make sure you got plenty of headroom, and not just for your riding mower, but for your brush hog. Cut those low-lying tree limbs. It's going to look better, and it's not going to knock you off your equipment or scrape you when you go underneath it. Know your pattern. It takes a while to develop a good pattern. Usually people will start at their main structures and move around the structure first to kind of get a circle around the structure and then move out in the property. Know your pattern. You always need to mow with your mower so that you're ejecting your grass clippings onto mowed grass. Know that pattern, get it good. There's nothing worse, I'm telling you, than getting to the end of a line and needing to do a big donut before you can do another line. Instead, just keep that pattern moving smoothly and you will save on gas, save on time, and actually get a better mow. It should go without saying that safety is essential, and that's in terms of ear protection, eye protection, sun protection, and if you have a tractor, having a rollover protection. You can see on my old tractor, I don't have a ROP system. Be careful out there. This is power equipment. You've got spinning blades. Make sure your kids are not around, your pets are not around, and just be careful. I have heard stories of people hitting a rock and that rock flying 50 yards and taking out somebody's eye. You've got to be careful when you're mowing. If you have a hill, go up and down, forward and backward on that hill. Do not try to go across that hill sideways. Up and down, back and forth. You can mow a hill that way very effectively if it's not too steep. 30 degrees is very steep. You do not want to be trying to mow a 45-degree incline. Some people hate to think about it, but maintenance is a big part of mowing effectively, and that's in terms of doing your annual oil changes. And I have some videos online about my oil change in this tractor and in my riding mower. Changing out your plugs, sharpening those blades. It is so easy to sharpen a blade. You do not need a fancy blade sharpener. You simply, for a lawnmower, you simply need a file to take the burrs out of the blade and put a single edge on that blade. Mower blades are single edge, one edge, no problem. Many videos on YouTube. I'll even link to one here about how to sharpen your mower blades. I also have a video online about how to sharpen your brush hog blades while it's still on the brush hog. It's an easy thing to do. Just get a grinder, follow my video. You can sharpen those brush hog blades very easily in under half an hour. Next thing I'll mention is just to remember to have fun. And one of the best ways to do that out there is to take on some new territory. In my woods, I often will find a new area to just mow into and start to turn into grass. Do some of that and you will make mowing fun. If you're always mowing the same thing on a big property, it's gonna get monotonous and old. Start mowing some new territory and it's just gonna make it that much more enjoyable out there when you're mowing. Now the next thing I'm going to say is just a little bit controversial with people who mow a lot, but I believe that it is good and healthy for your lawn and easy and effective to let it grow a little bit long sometimes. As you'll see some of the mowing I'm doing here today, some of that grass is 6 inches, 12 inches long, and that's just not a problem. If you have good equipment on a big property, you can let some of that grass go and it will develop some root structure and some health, and you can come back and mow it, no problem. I'm not saying let your grass grow to be 3-4 feet all the time and only mow once a year, but you can definitely mow less frequently than once a week, people. Now you're going to have trees and bushes and shrubs on your property. Mowing around those is really important. Try to get close to the shrubs when you're mowing so that you don't have to do quite as much trimming. But the other thing to keep in mind is when you're out there planting your trees and shrubs, you can plant them with plenty of room around them so that you can get your brush hog through, get your mower through, and get in there easily. It is just a pain in the neck to mow around trees that are 2 or 3 feet apart. It's also not good for the trees. So give those plantings plenty of room and you will make your mowing life a lot easier. And you can see here that I've planted some of my things in an even row. You can definitely plant more organically, but those even rows are very easy to mow around. This is a windbreak and it just makes it very easy to mow having all these trees in an even line. I think most people would agree that mowing dry is easier, better, quicker, and just doesn't gunk up your equipment quite as much. You can mow wet. It's not impossible to mow wet, but mowing dry is always the way to go if you have the option. On that note, if you mow slow, you mow better. Slow that tractor down, slow that riding mower down, and you will get a cleaner cut and you will be much less likely to have to go over things a second time. Now I've just done this many times, and it is something you have to be a little bit patient about, but you can create grassy areas by brush hogging and mowing rough, weeded, junked out, brush layered areas. Just brush hog it one time, come back, brush hog it again, start mowing it, and that will turn to grass. I have never bought grass seed to turn area into grass. I've simply mowed it consistently and let Mother Nature run its course. Now, storing your machines effectively is really essential. If you don't have a barn, you can use a tarp, but I would really recommend at least a 3-sided structure. Keep notes and records about your mowing. That may sound silly, but if you do not keep track of when you've been doing your oil changes and your blade sharpening, it will slip your mind so much more quickly than if you do keep track. And some people even keep track of their patterns. If you forget your good mowing pattern that you nail one day, write it down. If you've got some bumps out there, write them down so you'll remember to fill them back in later. And then one last final note on sharpening. You can use a file to sharpen, you can use a stone to sharpen, you can use a specified blade sharpener, but really there is a sharpener for every different blade. I use a stone on my scythe, but I don't use a stone on my brush hog, I use a grinding wheel. So get those particular sharpening tools and you will just do a much better job and it'll be a lot easier to complete your sharpening. And my final tip is that hand tools are not all bad. It's not all about power tools. Many times I'd prefer to have one of these over a trimmer, and many times I'd prefer to use one of these around my house, around my deck. Hand tools often do a really good job and very precise and actually pretty effective. Alright, so those are my tips and tricks about mowing on a big property. If you have 5, 10, 20 acres, you know that it can be a big job, but also very manageable if you have some of the right equipment. Hit me a thumbs up if you liked the video, subscribe to the channel if you're interested in more stuff of this kind.